Coming up on Tech News today, Japan found a rare earth metal bonanza. Not records at the thrift store, but like stuff that goes into electronics in the middle of the ocean. We'll explain why that's important. Also, Sony may be launching a PlayStation 4. We're going to talk about that. And I find that the rumored next iPhone sounds really boring. Next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today for Tuesday, July 5th, 2011. Tech News Today is brought to you by Slingbox, which just turned your iPad into a television. Look! Slingbox introduces their new iPad app, so now you can watch your home TV on your iPad anywhere you take it. Check it out at Best Buy or slingbox.com/twit. Welcome to Tech News Today. I'm Tom Merritt.
I'm Sarah Lane.
I'm Iyaz, Akhtar.
I'm Jason Howell.
You know, after we went and sat in the new studio last week for the lighting test, it kind of feels sucky being over here again.
I know, it's like, what is this
Hey,
place?
don't smack talk it yet. We still have to do a couple of weeks here. We don't want it to start revolting against us.
It's already,
I don't want it to start revolting
already.
against us.
What else can it do?
I think I'm
The
going to
lighting
go
rig
Justin
fall.
Robert Young and just Skype over from there.
We just all take
our remainder.
we leave Jason in the lurch. We all go down there and Skype.
Yeah.
Be
let's just
switching
do
all
that.
of you guys
Jason,
on Skype.
you won't
Thanks.
mind, right?
No, not at all.
Okay.
That'll be about the time that it actually does break over here, and then what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. All right.
It's good
fine.
stuff, though. I'm very excited. Our new set is going to rock.
Yes, we're very excited about that. But in the meantime, there's still tech news. Big, fat, long weekend's worth, since here in the U.S. we had Monday off for Independence Day, which, by the way, is only the date that they approved the Declaration of Independence, not the date that they approved independence. A lot of people on Twitter were making that point yesterday, and I felt it was...
It was retweeted numerous times. I saw it.
It was... I just, you know...
I'll forget it next year.
If that many people retweeted it, it must be really important to point out.
Yeah. Okay.
Microsoft is going to China to celebrate Independence Day. They've struck a deal with Baidu. Baidu is the leading search engine in China. They have between 75 and 84% market share, depending on who you ask, but it's big. And they need better English language search, so they're contracting with Microsoft to have Bing be the English language search engine for Baidu. So English search queries will be directed from Baidu to Bing, so meaning Microsoft's going to get a big chunk of Chinese search traffic. They say that English search has been rising, right?
Yeah, a Baidu representative did say the English search is happening a lot more over there, and Baidu didn't do a good enough job. So Microsoft and Baidu have worked together before, and so pretty much this makes a lot of sense for somebody like Microsoft. I mean, they've been trying to get into as many markets as they can, and where Google isn't, and Google's not in China. And so this gives them, will probably give them a bit of a larger user base than they normally have worldwide.
Microsoft says they respect and follow laws and regulations in every country where they run businesses. We operate in China, they say, in a manner that both respects local authority and culture and makes clear that we have differences of opinion with official content management policies.
I love the last part of that line, because it's like, we're going to do what China wants because we want to be associated with search.
Right.
In
We wanna make
the
all the
largest
money.
growing economy
Yeah.
in the world. But we'll just have disapproving looks the whole time.
We're going to bitch. Don't get us wrong.
Yeah, but we'll do what they want.
We'll cave every time,
Yeah.
but we won't be happy about
Every
it.
memo
we'll
will
do what
have
Google
a
wouldn't.
frowny face at the end of every sentence. That's how rough they're going to be. Maybe even animated emoticons of anger.
Steve Ballmer. Okay, fine.
Just red-faced Steve
We'll do
Ballmer.
it, but we won't like
What's
it.
the emoticon for a red-faced Steve Ballmer? How do you type that, though?
I don't know. That's good.
With your fingers?
I would like to point out two things here. One, Google is still the #2 search engine in China, even though they operate out of Hong Kong. And Microsoft is really not doing much here. Now, I'm not saying you should exempt them from any criticism for operating in China, but they already operated in China, as Iyaz pointed out. They were doing a lot already, and they're merely powering a part of Baidu's English language search, maybe a little bit more because it's going to come to Bing pages, but similar to deals that they've struck with Yahoo in the past. So it's good for Microsoft, but it's not like Microsoft is taking over China.
Right.
In fact, Baidu could eventually kick them back out again.
And Google also, apparently, what they would get more out of is Chinese companies using Google Ads to advertise outside of China anyway. So it's not as if Google's like, man, we missed the biggest opportunity. They have other opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're more being more principled about it, for good or for ill. Maybe you'd agree with Microsoft that, you know what, the best way to change China is to do business there. But Google has decided that's not the way they're going to do it, and they operate outside of China, sort of, in Hong Kong, which is part of China but has separate laws. That seems to be working for them right now. It'll be interesting to see if this has any effect on Google's market share in China.
It'll also be interesting to see how this works for Bing. I mean, to have the association with search for such a large group of people who are obviously very active on the internet could be really great for Bing.
Digitimes reporting that Pegatron Technology in Taiwan has received orders for 15 million iPhones. Now, Digitimes reports a lot of stuff, but a lot of, I'd say, their upstream supplier data and rumors are in the 70 to 80% true ballpark. So I have a high confidence level in this rumor that, in fact, once these guys start saying, yeah, we're getting orders, that we're looking at an iPhone coming this fall. 15 million, though, is a huge, huge number.
Yeah, the other things that we're finding out about this potential iPhone 5, it might be more like a 4S. People are saying that the shape of the device won't change much, even though we've heard contrary reports like crazy. Whatever this thing is going to be, it looks like it's just going to have a spec bump inside and maybe an edge-to-edge screen. And I know, Tom, you weren't too impressed by this potential new iPhone 4, either if it's a 4S or 5, whatever they end up calling it. I mean, does this not excite you?
No, this doesn't excite me at all. Man, new processor, whatever. 8-megapixel camera, all right.
Well, come on.
Bigger screen.
That's not uncool. That's pretty
8
cool.
megapixel
That's not uncool.
camera?
That's a great, that's a great
Well,
phrase.
like 8 megapixel, who needs it?
I mean,
I would like it.
The camera works fine now. I'm not a
Yeah.
big photo freak, so maybe that's why.
Depends.
But just adding more megapixels doesn't excite me. And frankly, I remember when we went from the 3G to the 3GS, feeling like I shouldn't have upgraded. And this looks to me the same way of like, yeah, well, there's a couple of interesting things. Now, we don't know for sure. Maybe there'll be something else in there that'll really, like, a better compass or, a robot.
I don't know. I was showing a friend an app the other day, and she's got 3G, and I thought, boy, is this sluggish. Because it's been a while since I had one, and I was using it regularly.
Yeah.
I mean, 3GS experienced a nice big bump in processor.
Now, GigaOM made a very wise observation saying that 15 million may seem like a huge number, but probably is accurate if they're going to launch it worldwide simultaneously, which they haven't done in the past, but because of the fall release, they might say it's going to be available everywhere we're going to sell it in the world at the same time, in which case they would need 15 million.
That'd be a good damage control. I mean, like, every year they come out in June, and then they roll it out. Apple slowly rolls out the iPhone to everywhere. But it's to say, okay, we delayed it for several months, but now everyone is getting it at one time. That could be a nice little move for Apple.
Digitimes also reporting that Sony is going to come out with a PlayStation 4 in 2012.
Wow.
That's some crazy talk, but it also comes from Pegatron in Taiwan saying that they're going to be building it. It's a big day for Sony today, actually. Sony finally brought its online gaming network up and running in its entirety in Japan. That was the last region where the network was partially offline. So with this rumor of a PS4 coming next year, we also have the Register reporting Sony's working on a big UI revamp of the PlayStation Network. They're going to ditch the blue color, make the interface less text-heavy. For instance, when you choose movies, it's going to have kind of an IMDb interface. It sounds like, I'm not sure what of this is true and what isn't, but it sounds like Sony is definitely doing things to improve the product line to kind of claw their way back from the setback of having to take the network down for a month.
I kind of also see this as, let's just say that that a PlayStation 4 is in the works, but maybe won't be coming as soon as this report says. At least it gets people talking about it. So if 2012 comes and goes, but still there are a lot more rumors between now and then about how it's coming, and maybe there are more leaks, and everyone kind of stops talking about 2011 as being a really bad year for Sony.
Yeah. Foxconn
It helps them move forward.
Here's the thing. Foxconn and Pegatron say they're building it, and it will include a Kinect-like motion control. However, Jack Tretton, CEO of Sony Computer Entertainment of America, has said quite definitively that it will be, quote, quite some time before the next generation of the PlayStation. They like to ride these things for as long as possible. So I don't think we'll see the PS4 suddenly come next year. That's just, I mean, they would have they aren't going to announce it at E3 in June and then start selling it at the end of 2012. I just don't believe that. What I could see is another variant of the PS3. Now, with the PlayStation 2, we had the PlayStation 2 and the PlayStation 2 Slim near the end of its life. We've already had the PS3 Slim. If they're true when they say, look, we're not going to do another PlayStation for a while, maybe we would see a PlayStation 3 with some sort of motion control built in, like a Kinect, so they can get back into competing with the Nintendo Wii's new niftiness and the Microsoft Kinect, which by all agreements pretty much trounces the PlayStation Move at this point.
Yeah, I mean, with the PS3, I mean, they were, as you were saying, Tom, Sony's done a couple of iterations. I think they even revamped the PS3 recently, just changed a bit of the insides, so it was actually a little lighter, shaved off like something like 400 grams because they had changed the internals. So for Sony to go ahead and instead of having that weird PlayStation Eye that you had to put out there, maybe they could revise the way that whole system works so that more people will want to use something like a PlayStation Move. Because the Sony PS3, Sony's going to drag their feet as long as they can when it comes to upgrading this thing, because they've invested a lot of time and a lot of money, because the first couple of years that PS3 was out, they were losing money like crazy on each PS3. And it's only recently that's become really, really profitable for them again. So a revision makes much more sense than a PS4, and I think Sony's been on record saying a number of times, this has a 10-year life cycle, and that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, and 10 years, I mean, they could still come out with a PS4 towards the end of that life cycle. The PlayStation 2 actually was the top-selling game console for a few years after the Wii and the PS3 came out. But I just get the idea, not that Sony's never said one thing and done another, but I get the idea that they really mean it, that they don't want to jump the gun. They don't want to be the one. They don't want to be in Microsoft's position with the oldest console. They want to ride this pony as far as it'll take them.
Sony's pony?
Sony's pony.
Ride that pony.
Ride that Sony pony. Jack Tretton. All right, let's take a quick break and thank our sponsor, Slingbox, without which we could not bring you this episode. That's because it's brought to you by Slingbox. They carried it on their back here, and we thank them for it. Slingbox introduces their new iPad app. It's not brand spanking. It's been around for a while. Get out there and get it. But you got to get a Slingbox first. You want a Slingbox because it allows you to watch anything from your home television anywhere you are with an internet connection. So the iPad's perfect for that. You take the iPad with you on vacation or off to somebody's house. You get access to everything you subscribe to at home and everything on your DVR over the internet with the iPad app. You can find Slingbox or see a demo at Best Buy. Check it out, slingbox.com/twitch. Slingbox on your home TV, appearing on iPads everywhere. We thank them for their support of Tech News Today. So, big story in the UK right now. Nearly all of Britain's papers reporting unnamed sources say a private investigator was hired by News of the World. That's a News Corp publication in the UK.
A tabloidy one.
A tabloid, well, yeah, exactly. A tabloid newspaper. That a private investigator hacked into the cell phone of 13-year-old Millie Dowler in 2002 after she was reported missing. Now, her body was later found dead. The investigator reportedly worked for News of the World and was accessing her voicemails in order to research the story, find out scoops, and then deleted some voicemails in order to make room for new ones should they arrive.
Because the voicemail box was full.
Yeah. So that confused police, who were also accessing the voicemails. Again, they didn't have access to the phone here, but over the network, they had access to the voicemails and thought that either she was alive or the abductor had her phone because there were voicemails disappearing, that somebody was deleting this. And it's causing outrage.
And it's weird because we are talking about something that happened almost 10 years ago, but these facts did not come to light until recently. And the idea that somebody who is working for a news publication, whatever kind of publication it is, it doesn't even really matter. The fact that they would be tampering with a police case in order to get a scoop on something and keep people from knowing what really happened, the law enforcement, parents, friends, everybody is reprehensible.
And apparently this is a long-running practice of hacking into celebrities' voicemails. I mean, we hear about lulzsec all the time. We hear about malware all the time. I hadn't heard about this long-running practice of newspapers hiring private investigators to hack into celebrity voicemails to get scoops and tidbits.
I hadn't either, although I guess when we hear little tidbits of a celebrity saying something on a voicemail that's embarrassing and we all hear snippets snippets of it and laugh about it, then that
There you go.
yeah,
That's
it's
where
like
it's coming. It's got to
it
come
is
from
something
somewhere.
that we're used to.
Yeah. Rebecca Brooks was the editor of News of the World in 2002 when the private investigator allegedly hacked into the voicemail. She said, she's actually now chief executive of Rupert Murdoch's News International. She said, "I hope you all realize it is inconceivable that I knew, or worse, sanctioned these appalling allegations." But this wasn't the only time it happened.
Well, I mean, this sounds like an editor who wanted to just basically put her head in the sand, didn't want to know where the sources were coming from, where this information was coming from, because it probably did great numbers for them. I mean, I've ran a blog before, and you just want numbers, and you want numbers and numbers and numbers. You want lots of people to show up, and to go this far to get something like this, it's just terrible.
Well, you figure that someone who is running the show would make sure that even if this was it did come from the top, that it doesn't look like it did, so that she can say, I had no idea this was going on, so that even if somebody really did get a direct order to do this, they couldn't say, no, you did, and here's that email where you told me to go ahead and hack into the phone.
Now, what's funny to me is in Britain, where remember recently they were saying you're not allowed to Twitter the identity of a person who has put in a court case requiring that people not Twitter his identity. Like, you can't even post that Iyaz, for instance, has put in
a super
injunction to prevent you from talking about him.
Right.
In that same, which I find ridiculous. You know what? Facts are facts, and everybody should be able to say them as long as they're true. This crosses the line. Hacking into voicemail. I mean, this is beyond journalism. This is crime.
Well, this is a publication. It's like they're rewriting the evidence.
Yeah, it's
in order to get a scoop that nobody else has. I mean, that's
especially
not
deleting
acceptable.
the voicemail.
Yeah.
Well, let's move to some good news then. Japan has discovered a huge amount of rare earth minerals in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Now, those of you who listen carefully to Tech News Today all the time know exactly why this is important, but those of you who are like the majority of the audience and just have us on in the background, here's why this is important. Rare earth minerals are used to make all the stuff you're using right now. Your laptops, your iPads, your iPhones. That stuff is needed either as ingredients in the device or ingredients used to make the device. For instance, terbium is one of the rare earth minerals they found in this cache in the Pacific Ocean, and it is a dopant used in solid-state devices. Or lutetium is a lens material in high refractive index immersion lithography. You want those 42 nanometer and below processors, you need to have lutetium. Now, the other reason this is important is China, up until now, has produced 97% of the world's rare earth metals, and they keep saying, we may just stop selling a lot of these. We might drive up the price.
Yeah, back in December they said, we're going to pull back on exports, and Sony at the time said, hey, you're going to hinder free trade, this is a big deal, but I think it comes as a relief to the rest of the world that one country would not be controlling 97% of materials that the rest of us need.
Well, don't get too relieved too quickly. A team of scientists led by Yashiro Kato found these minerals in sea mud, which means they're at the bottom of the ocean. It usually takes 5 to 7 years to get a mine on land up to speed for these kind of rare earth minerals. It's going to take a little longer to figure out how to get it off the ocean floor. It'll happen.
That it's in international waters, right? So
it is in international
waters. Can anybody
waters.
just run over there to try to get it?
Absolutely.
So does that mean China's going to try to beat them to it?
Probably not. I mean, they could, but why would they when they have 97% already?
Well, if they want to keep that control.
Yeah, but they're already under so much fire for that. I think there'd be international outrage.
If they already have mining on land, I mean, why do they want to go
and then
get
re-engineer
into
everything?
the water and start drilling in the mud and hope that in 10
prove
years they
that
can...
they're cornering the market instead of right now just being able to go, hey, it's not our fault.
Yeah.
That's
It just
actually
happens to
it's
be in
good
our
news for consumers once this gets actually mined. Then that means like all the shortages that we've always heard about that could be over. We could be able to get all our fun toys.
Or delayed anyway.
It may not lower prices because it may be expensive to get them off the ocean floor, but it would prevent China from driving the price up in the future. So that's a good thing. Google is getting rid of some stuff. They are getting rid of the names of Blogger, Picasa, and other brands as part of the launch of Google+. At least that's what Mashable says. Mashable reports Google intends to change the name of Blogger to Google Blogs, Picasa to Google Photos, and a few other properties to Google this and that, as part of the launch of Google Plus to the public, which they say is going to happen in the next 6 weeks.
I mean, Google's had a lot of these disparate, identities out there. There's Blogger, there's YouTube, there's a bunch of these things, and sometimes you don't even know that Google's a part of that stuff. So this makes a lot of sense, especially the way Plus is putting everything together. You don't even think when you upload a photo, what service is it going to? You might see Picasa and you're like, what is Picasa? Do I have an account already or not? So this makes plenty of sense, because if something like Facebook, they don't call each thing something special, right? It's Facebook photos, or they have Facebook albums or whatever. So this makes plenty of sense.
There have been some folks saying, okay, Picasa, fair enough. But Blogger, very well-known brand.
Heritage name. Evan Williams started Blogger,
Exactly.
and then he retired on that money to start Twitter.
That's
with
right.
Biz Stone.
But at the same time, when you have a Blogger account, you log in, you have connections. It all is sort of working the way that Google Plus is designed to work better. So I can see why they'd want to integrate that even more, especially if someone's like, Blogger, how does that relate to Google? Especially because Google Plus seems to be, it's popular. People are joining Google Plus that maybe don't know what else Google has.
So they're changing YouTube then?
No, not changing YouTube, because that brand recognition is just really, really strong.
Sometimes brand recognition does trump the theory.
I think some people know about YouTube and don't really even
They don't
know
want
what
to be
Google's
called
doing.
Google Videos anymore. That super.
Well, they
fail
shut
thing.
down Google Video because they thought that it was confusing to people between Google Video and YouTube. What's the difference?
Not just confusing, the fact that hardly anybody used it.
Google Video
that too.
is now just a search engine for video.
Yeah.
And that's what they say. They intend to try to improve that to make it a good search engine of all the video on the internet.
Yeah.
Another thing they're getting rid of in a separate situation is real-time search. If you go to google.com/realtime, you're going to get a 404 error. The reason is the agreement between Twitter and Google to have the fire hose of Twitter results pipe right into the Google search engine expired on Saturday, and the two companies can't seem to figure out a way to renew it yet. Google says we're exploring how to incorporate Google Plus into real-time functionality, so stay tuned. Twitter still provides the fire hose to Yahoo, Bing, NT Docomo, and others, so it's not like there was any technical problem with it. They just can't agree. Is this because Google started Google Plus?
I mean, that's probably likely. I mean, I've seen a lot of blog posts out there that are talking about Facebook shouldn't be worried about Google Plus. Twitter should be worried because people are using Google Plus. Even I know Jason and I were talking about this online. The fact is, I have to remember now to check Twitter because Google Plus has.
Well, that didn't take long.
Yeah, I know. It's been like a couple of weeks, but the thing is, it's a little bit. It's closed off, and there's really no reason why you need to go back to Twitter. You can actually fit everything in there. You're not worried about your all the Twitter longers and all these other services because it's all built into Google Plus. So Google's probably very, very satisfied with the way Plus has been going so far. So if they're going to say, Twitter, we don't need you. Or they could always reintegrate them in the long run.
They could renegotiate finally. I have not seen any credible explanations of why the negotiations broke down yet. So you can come up with all kinds of reasons, but we just don't know. Or at least we don't. Somebody does. Twitter and Google. Toshiba is showing off glasses-free 3D laptop technology that's going to be shipping in August. The glasses-free 3D Cosmio F750, which was showed off at CES, is now ready to actually sell. You can actually buy one. The August release will run about £1,300 UK, so $2,100. Has an Intel Core i7 processor, GeForce GT 540M graphics card in there, but also the lenticular lens that apparently can show you a 2D and a 3D image at the same time in different windows. So you could have a 3D movie running in one window and still be working in your spreadsheet in 2D off to the side. That demo was not working when Engadget tried it out, but the facial recognition was. The way it's supposed to work is the HD camera locks onto your face and then it tracks your head so that as you move, your eyes will get the perfect 3D experience through the lenticular lens. I tried it out at CES and couldn't even tell I was there. For some reason, it could not see my face, perhaps because of my
your face
alien
is really
physiology.
It's
could
hard
also
to see
be that.
just when you're sitting in front of you.
The fine detail of your beard was throwing it off.
Yeah.
The Engadget folks say that it is much much improved, that the HD tracking would never fail. The only thing now is if you move too much, sometimes the 3D takes a little while to catch up with you as it recompiles. But for the most part, if you're just sitting there playing a game or watching a movie, it's probably going to work just fine.
I got to try it out at CES, and it did recognize me, and it worked pretty well. So that fact
because you're human.
Yeah, that's probably it. The fact is, this thing is kind of neat that it's working, because these 3D displays, the fact that you don't need glasses, it makes much more sense on these smaller things like laptops and 3DSs and that kind of thing, because there's a good likelihood that you're going to be in one space, and even if you move, it's tracking your eyes, so you have that little benefit. But the fact that it doesn't track rapid head movements, well, I mean, unless you're headbanging at your laptop, which I don't know.
3D heavy metal videos might cause a problem.
Might not work on this.
If you're listening to some rare earth.
I don't know.
Heavy metal.
I know a lot of people who have kind of nervous energy sitting around.
Yeah, it's not going to work for them.
You always
either.
have that coworker who never stops moving. So they're out of luck, I guess.
Yep. I'm not getting a Cosmeo.
The drummers.
But frankly, $2,100. I mean, it's not cheap. Don't get me wrong, but it's not that much more expensive than other laptops. It's got a Core i7. It's got a decent graphics card, so
pretty cool.
Good job, Toshiba. I like it. On to the news fuse. Cell phones, do they give you cancer or not? We have another answer for you. According to a new study published in the Environmental Health Perspectives journal, the, quote, evidence is increasingly against the hypothesis that mobile phone use can cause brain tumors in adults. The study analyzed trends in cancer between 1970 and 2008 and found that cancer instances were relatively static during that time period. The researchers admitted that there still is a degree of uncertainty and future research is still necessary to determine the effects of cell phones on children. So they're not saying, no, it doesn't cause cancer yet, but the research indicates that it probably doesn't in this case.
Are you an evildoer?
Yes.
You best beware then, Tom, because there's a brand new global entity that aims to fight cybercrime.
Oh, I'm not that kind of evildoer.
Yeah, well, some people are. 8 companies, including McAfee and Trend Micro, have joined to form the International Cyber Security Protection Alliance, or ISCPA, that'll focus on countries where a high number of cyber attacks originate: Russia and Brazil, just to name 2. The alliance will also work with Interpol, or Europol rather, the EU's criminal intelligence agency. They're not actually EU's.
No.
Go IXPA!
Right.
Google employee Erica Joy posted some interesting news on her Google Plus account. The Google Plus iOS app has already been submitted to Apple's App Store and is waiting on approval. Right now, if you wanted Google Plus on iOS, you have to use Google's web app, which is actually pretty snazzy. Of course, if you're on Android, you don't really care. You already have a Plus app.
Are you sick of us talking about Netflix because you live in a country with no Netflix access? Well, later this year, you can stop being sick of us talking about Netflix, because Netflix is launching its streaming service in 43 new countries. Latin America and the Caribbean are the region for these launches. The service will be available in Portuguese, Spanish, or English. Netflix hasn't stated specific dates, but you can sign up at Netflix.com to get an email reminder when it launches in your neck of the jungle.
Can't wait for my next Caribbean vacation. Over the weekend, the Twitter account of Fox News was hacked. The hacked Fox News Twitter feed was responsible for spreading a lot of misinformation. Several tweets falsely reported that the President of the United States had been killed and wished Joe Biden good luck as the new president. Fox News and the Secret Service are investigating the situation. Good work, Script Kiddies.
Just another reason not to believe what you read on Twitter.
On Twitter. Okay. Facebook has blocked a Google Chrome extension called Facebook Friend Exporter. The extension lets you grab information about your Facebook friends so you can import them into some other service. Facebook Friend Exporter has been around since November of 2010, but apparently it became very popular around the time Google Plus was released. The extension violates Facebook's terms of service because it scrapes the data using automated means.
They just happened to notice it was there.
It got like 17,000 users.
Patent-rich Microsoft is getting richer using some patents that it says are related to Google's Android operating system, but they're not going after Google just yet. They're smarter than that. Microsoft just announced a licensing deal with Wistron, where Wistron will pay Microsoft for access to Microsoft's patents related to Android or Chrome. There are a number of other companies that have made this kind of deal with Microsoft related to Android, but this is the first one that involves Chrome OS. Considering Google didn't get Nortel's patent portfolio, how long before Microsoft announces a royalty deal with Google? Long time. Going to be a long time.
As if RIM needed more to fret about. Comscore just released their latest U.S. market share report, and Apple has officially passed RIM in the USA. For the 3-month period ending May 2011, Google's Android ranked as the top smartphone OS, claiming 38.1% of U.S. smartphone subscribers. Apple rose slightly to 26.6%, and RIM fell to 24.7%.
Now that's bad news for RIM. They've got so many problems. That is one more that they didn't need. Even if it's just a little bit of a change in number, like that psychological change of going
It's just,
to third
especially
place.
Internally, they've got all these people saying we're not happy, and then you've got numbers like this. Yeah.
On to the randomizer.
Randomizer.
Sarah, you like chocolate.
Oh, I do, indeed.
Now, what is your favorite shape of chocolate?
That chocolate orange
Like,
ball
do you just
thing,
need it
or
a bar,
bars?
like Easter Bunny?
The Easter Bunny chocolate never tastes very good because it's that crappy milk chocolate.
Let me put it this way: is
All
there
right.
a shape that you would prefer chocolate to come in that it doesn't yet,
Yeah,
Like a TWiT logo.
or is hard to get?
something like a cone of chocolate.
Just a big
might be
cone of
neat.
chocolate? Well,
Yeah.
you will be able to print that yourself using a 3D printer thanks to
What?
researchers at the University of Exeter.
You're talking crazy.
They have created a 3D printer that uses chocolate, layers of chocolate, instead of ink or plastic. Although it is still a prototype, several retailers have already expressed interest in taking on the device. Can you imagine just
I
going
could
in
make
and-
it like I could make coworkers out of chocolate.
Yeah.
And
and
just
then
kind
bite our
of freak
heads
you
off.
out. Yes. I don't. Well, yeah. I guess I could do that.
Or you could,
That excited me too much.
we could go in and say that.
I
well,
could just
you
bite your head off.
A little more, like literally. We could go in and say, can you print out "Happy Birthday, Sarah" in chocolate, and then we could bring that to you.
And
Every day.
And it would be in 3D.
Yeah.
And I just eat my H. eat
Dr.
my
Richard
A.
Haig from Loughborough University told BBC News that the Exeter creation is a step towards manufacturing a device able to print flawless 3D objects that taste good. So, you know what?
love it.
I understand MakerBot is good at printing lots of objects,
Sure.
but printing food
Yeah.
is definitely a
That
good
washing
next
machine replacement.
Yeah.
All fine and
Very
good.
important.
We all need clean clothes, but you can't eat a washing machine
Yet.
yet.
Until
Unless
you
it's
print
made of
one
chocolate.
out made of chocolate.
It all comes together.
On to the calendar.
The Pringles can antenna is now 10 years old. If you have no idea what I'm talking
Yay.
about, back in 2001, 12 decibel Pringles can antennas were created that allowed hackers to sniff Wi-Fi back in the good old days when that was hard. In fact, for anybody who's an old fan of the screensavers, we actually demoed this. Patrick and Leo.
That's how I first found
Built
out about it, because I wrote
Pringles
the web
antennas.
article that went with this. Patrick wrote it, and I edited it and published it.
Now, we're not exactly sure when this particular episode was, but sometime between 2001 and 2002.
Yep.
So we were always had our finger on the pulse of tech.
I'd say
even
probably
10
closer to
years ago.
2001, since by
Me too.
2002 I was way too lazy to actually do web stuff anymore. So.
Yeah. Well, and
Little
also,
did-
this would have been cool because we would have been some of the first people to do
Yeah.
it.
And I think I was
That's how
still
we
sitting in a
rolled.
cube.
Yeah. The HP Pavilion DV6Z quad laptop with an AMD Llano processor is on sale now at HP's site. This is a base model, starts at $650. The Intel base DV6T will run you $999. There are a few other models in between. The Linux Foundation will be announcing today that Toyota is joining the foundation. There's a lot of Linux embedded in cars these days. Maybe you didn't even know that. And Linux is one of the most popular systems for dashboard computing.
Toyota part of the Linux Foundation. Who would have thunk it?
Well, it's all about the Prius. Or, I don't know.
That's
true.
what the G's say.
You're a G. You're rocking the Prius.
Yeah.
The Linux Prius.
I make it rain with
You're an
3i.
OG. Right.
Facebook's awesome announcement. Remember, we told you that it was coming. It's happening tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Pacific. We're going to cover it right here on TWiT, so you can just tune in at 11 a.m. Pacific or 2 p.m. Eastern. The rumor is leaning towards Skype integration, but no one will know for absolute sure until it starts. So
Until Mark
tune in.
Zuckerberg makes up his mind at the last minute.
That's right, yeah. Do I think iPads are mobile? I just don't know. Reminder that the first Twitter town hall with President Obama is going to take place also tomorrow, July 6th at 2 p.m. Eastern. It's like a dueling Facebook Twitter announcement day.
Facebook in the morning? President Obama and
That's right.
an hour later.
Yeah, for dessert. Use the hashtag AskObama on Twitter if you want to ask questions that possibly he'll answer. Pretty cool. Verizon is killing unlimited data plans on Thursday, July 7th. There are going to be 4 new pricing tiers for the range from $10 to $80 to replace them. Verizon is saying that customers currently on unlimited plans will be able to keep them as they upgrade devices. So that's at least good if you already have an unlimited plan. Just new people that'll be affected. AT&T is going to offer new standard iPhone insurance beginning July 17th.
Yeah, because they charged more for iPhone insurance up till now.
Yeah, so now
bastards.
the cost per month goes down to $4.99. It's expected to have a $125 deductible, but once you pay that, you'll be covered under all iPhone models for loss, accidental physical damage like dropping your iPhone in a toilet. Believe me, I know firsthand that sort of thing happens, theft, and mechanical or electrical failure.
On to the voicemail. 260-TNT show is one way to leave us a voicemail on your telephone using our Google Voice account, or you can send us a link to an uploaded audio file of some sort. Or you can attach an audio file and email it to you. All of those ways work. This person, I don't know his name. He'll probably tell us. Sent us one that he linked to.
I feel like you've been absent more than usual, and while Sarah and Iyaz are great co-hosts, and props to Jason because anybody who cuts cameras is awesome, I feel like the quality of your reporting is slipping. On Friday's show, you said
Zuckerberg was in Seattle and indicated that the announcement was based on work being done in the Seattle office. Now, the Seattle office works on mobile, which has given rise to the idea that it might be an iPad app.
Come on, Tom, you're better than that. Don't you pay attention?
iPad's not mobile. It's not mobile. It's a
Zing.
Love the show, and remember that.
Carlos Slim is a great man. Yes, he is. I suppose that gave rise to the speculation, and then I forgot to make it clear that Mark Zuckerberg says the iPad is not mobile. So thank you for that. Excellent reporting.
Wonderful.
Keeping us honest. Also got a call on our Google voicemail from Brandy. She had a problem when she tried to get Verizon to abide by what we had recommended via The Consumerist regarding canceling your Verizon contract early.
Hi, my name is Brandy, and I just tried to get my contract ended early with Verizon through the material change due to the regulatory charge from 13 to 16 cents, and I failed miserably, spending about 35 minutes in total on the phone, one with a representative and then one with an account manager, and the reasoning was not clear to me, nor was any of my arguments rejected. So I was basically told that I needed to get a lawyer and contact their law enforcement division.
Jeez.
Thought you might want to know. Thanks. Bye.
Now, this was a news fuse item, right? Iyaz, where the Consumerist had said because Verizon had changed this fee that you could probably get out of your...
Yep, and the Consumerist recommended that you stay on the phone as long as it takes to get it done. And apparently, I mean, from what Brandy was saying, that they didn't reject any of her arguments. So they didn't say she was wrong even. They just wouldn't let her out of her contract. So either the Consumerist needs to check what's going on, or a bunch of people are going to get very angry at Verizon right now and start calling them up and see if they can make something change. I mean, I guess if anybody's actually had this work, you should let us know. I want to hear
if you had it work, how you made it work, or if you're out there and you know why they could legally get away with not allowing you to cancel your contract because of this change. Let us know that as well. And if you're part of the Consumerist, help Brandy, for goodness sake. We can get you in touch with her. Give us a email or a call. On to the emails. Speaking of emails, TNT@twit.tv is our email address. Derek wrote in and said, just finished watching TNT number 275 and saw the bit towards the end where it was suggested that achievements could print out certificates or 3D print physical trophies. I actually did something like this last year for an NHL 11 tournament that my friends had on the Xbox. The winner received this mini Stanley Cup that was printed on my MakerBot. Not made of chocolate, but a small Stanley Cup. Freaking awesome. Nicely done, Derek. Good stuff. So see, it goes to show you don't have to wait for the big companies to take advantage of this. Now try printing some chocolate in there.
Yeah. Chocolate cone, perhaps. Someone in the chat room suggested chocolate cone, ice cream cone.
Oh.
Think about that.
Yeah, so not chocolate
and
covered
let it blow
ice cream
your
cone.
mind. It's the cone.
With dark chocolate ice cream inside the... Wow.
Yeah, it's going to get wild.
I am going to have to leave the studio right now to wrap my head around that. But in the meantime, before I go, I must thank all the folks on our subreddit at technewstoday.reddit.com. Captain Kipper, Hate Bad Design, Flash Cider, Nebson, PC Guy 999, Pete C, Azenketh, and Perface for Radio were among the many people who submitted Reddit stories to us today that we considered and used in many cases. 1,091 Tech News Today readers on there will at least vote things up or down to let us know what they want to hear us cover. We thank them for their submissions. Now, most of the time, if you vote in great numbers, it's going to get into the show. Although today, the number one story is one of the first time since we did this that I said, no, we're not doing this. It was a Inquirer story. U.S. claims all .com and .net sites are in its jurisdiction. It got 34 votes. The reason we didn't cover it is we've already covered this. This was just the Inquirer's take on the ICE enforcement. So I left a comment explaining that. But I wanted to point out that, I'm not just ignoring this stuff. We sit here and we consider it and we go, okay, well, should we use this stuff? And it is extremely helpful in determining our lineup. So vote them up, vote them down, technewstoday.reddit.com. And bricks! Only a couple weeks till we move into the new studio.
That's true.
If you would like to buy a brick that would be on the wall in the new studio, go to bricks.twit.tv.
Time is running out, but you still have a chance.
Time, so do it right now.
That's right.
Okay.
Be part of history.
Thank you. It's important to be part of history.
That's
and
right.
We are now part of history because that's the end of the show. twit.tv/TNT260TNT show. Or you can email us TNT@twit.tv. We will see you in the future.
Where we won't need roads.
Where we're going, we don't need stories.
Just chocolate cones.
That's almost the view from our set.
It's true.